This is Don't Panic, episode number 305, recorded March 15th, 2021. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and of course you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who are looking for ways to spend all that daylight time they just saved. It's Colby Rabideau and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Or, yeah, it's the light out here.
Well, I'm seeing out your window. It's like it's bright. I got to put on sunglasses.
Yeah. I could actually show you the horses now if you want me to.
on the zoo you live in.
Right. Is that a yes?
Nice.
Oh, don't let us stop you. You go right ahead.
All right.
You go right ahead. Our people watching the video will enjoy this. Thanks to the grand tradition of daylight savings time, which we just experienced this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think this year was particularly bad, but maybe I'm just getting better as I get older.
They're far away.
God, those are some blurry looking horses. I love it.
Yeah.
They're going to be so HD for the recorded version.
That's true. This is great.
Amazing.
This is great. I've always said we should do the show by strapping a GoPro to Dan's head, and I think this has just taught us that experience is thrilling.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Then I could do the show from anywhere.
We could call it Don't Panic Day in the Life. And it's just a GoPro.
A Dan in the life.
A Dan in the life.
I love it.
It's perfect.
This is great. Well, speaking of exciting things, what's been going on, guys?
I spent some of my saved daylight investigating time zone bugs in at work. It was cool. A daylight savings tradition.
Just yesterday telling Lena about the leap second, and her mind was blown. Sean, are you familiar with the leap second?
I believe we've talked about it on this show, in fact.
Okay.
A grand tradition of ours. I think every year we end up talking about it, but it's a fun little problem, and I'm glad smart people like you guys are out there working on it.
I found a cool graph today that showed how much different. I forget what it is. There's a special time zone that is the solar time, and how much the Earth time changes relative to the solar time over the years, and it's variable, which is it was a cool graph. But it's interesting that the not all seconds are a second long.
I don't get it. I can barely. You guys. No, Colby was immensely confused, and I was trying to pivot slightly to something people would understand. But do you guys ever look at analog clocks anymore?
No.
I was thinking about that did you guys have to reset any clocks, or are you officially now all digital? My stove, I had to change the clock on. That was literally the only thing. Oh, and I had a few devices which was really pissed me off. Both my PC and my car, which both have GPS synced clocks, did not know what daylight savings. I had to check a little box that said turn on daylight savings. My Windows, I had to sync the time with the server for it to update. It was very annoying.
Thumbs down. So I have 3 analog clocks in my apartment. 2 of them have dead batteries, so I only had to update one to daylight savings.
It's a good way to make time pass slowly.
Yeah, this one, I have this one right here on my desk, but it's been 8 whatever for a good long time now.
I was just thinking about the car, as I spend so much time thinking about cars recently. When we were talking about the leap second, we were in a car, and then we noted that the car's clock did not update. And I was thinking, I guess if I was a car manufacturer and I was making one of these, not one of these fancy cars, but just a regular old car, maybe it has CarPlay. How much time are you going to spend programming the clock thing in the car to read in the GPS information and have because you can't depend on the car being connected to the internet, right? So it would just need to have pre-programmed the information about all like the daylight savings time and the time zones and which time zone observes daylight savings time and when, because that can also change. Uh, I could see why they don't do it.
And
Same
all
thing
these
with the
things
ovens, but
change too.
I think eventually they will.
Well, and that's what, my car, it is set to GPS time. If I change time zones while driving, it'll automatically update. But what I like is that at the minimum, they have a little box that says, turn on daylight savings, and it just changes at the hour automatically. So at least I don't have to scroll through the time and do it myself. A lot of devices I've seen now do that. So that's a nice change.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious. Why didn't they always do that?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so that's a thrill. That's a thrill and a half.
Here's my other. This is my topic.
Okay, bring it on.
I think it was
Famous
after
people named Mike. No, I'm kidding. No, go ahead.
I think it was after the show last week when there was the big US presidential news conference about like, oh, everyone's going to be able to get a vaccine. Everyone will be able to get a vaccine starting on May 1st or whatever. And at first I was like, all right, yeah, this is amazing. Like, sounds great. And then immediately, like me being a programmer, I was like, yeah, okay, but how? Like, how does it work? How are we going to do it? Because it seems obvious to me that like for every person that you had giving shots, like you would need n number more people taking appointments and doing like traffic control. And like I don't think we can just keep doing the thing where people drive into NFL stadiums. There aren't that many of those. They don't seem to have worked particularly well. So I every day I log in and I go on to Apple News, which is what I've been trying to use, and I'm like, all right, where is the New York Times article about exactly how this is going to work? And I haven't found one, and no one is even mentioning the absence of one. Everyone's just like, yeah, this is amazing, and they'll have some off off to the side one sentence like, now just because everyone can sign up doesn't mean that everyone will get one. It's like, yeah, okay, great, but how? Does anyone know how? Has anyone found this article?
I put my hand up.
Sean knows.
I sort of
sorry,
know.
I call
my
him you,
answer to
Sean.
you is no. Thank you. I should have put my virtual hand up. No, I will give you an unfair alternate answer, which is they don't know how to do it, but it's not as big of a problem as you think, and here's why. So, if you look at it from a state perspective, anywhere from 20 to 30% of Americans already have at least one vaccination shot. I know in the state of Massachusetts, I checked today, it's about 25% of eligible adults already have the shot. So let's say it's 25% average nationally, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another 20 to 25% of people who've straight up said they will not get the shot. Now, that's a problem. Hopefully that changes, but let's assume they don't get the shot. That means 50% of Americans are already covered. So that's the good news, is we're already a chunk of the way there. Now, you're right, Dan. The issue is going to be opening up the floodgates all at once.
Yes.
What a lot
my
of
understanding is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't, I'm not eligible to make an appointment. But my understanding is in a lot of places, if you're 75 years old and you want an appointment in, I don't know, any given state, chances are it's not going to be easy. Is that true?
Oh yeah, it was a total disaster
centers
off the get-go.
Each like jurisdiction has its own queue and its own system, so you can't know like, oh, just because I can't get one in my local town, it's hard to know if the town next door has one. Won't that just become more of a problem?
Nightmare. I can tell you. Yes and no. Actually, my three siblings, who are all teachers, are going to get in a car and drive about 2 hours to Gillette Stadium here in Mass to get their shots because they couldn't get one closer. So you're totally right. Here's the upside, right? Is they worked out a lot of those kinks in a smaller 75 plus, 65 plus audience, and the sites have gotten a lot better, which is good. And even I've seen that. What also a lot of states are doing is what they used to do is they basically just say, hey, start refreshing your computer at 8 a.m. and hope to God you get one of 30 appointments, right? They're
Right.
not
The
doing that.
Amazon Fresh April 2020 problem.
And that's funny. That's exactly what they call it. But the good news is a lot of states, including Massachusetts, are moving towards a pre-registration system. I'm already registered to get a shot. I'm already on a list. Colby is too. And a lot of states are doing this. And what that means is instead of having a crush of appointments, they call you when there is an open appointment. You're in a long queue, and when they get to you, they'll say, here's your nearest center and here's your nearest shot. Now, not all states are up to date. Part of Joe Biden's announcement the other night was that the U.S. government is going to work on a national program that will kick in when everyone becomes eligible to help manage these appointments.
But we
but
don't know what that is.
We don't. We haven't seen it. And each state is going about it on their own right now, which means, some states are a lot better than others. But no, it's definitely a nightmare. The plus side is it's gotten better, and there aren't as many people as you think still needing to get shots.
But isn't there going to be here's my other question that I also haven't been able to find an answer to. Do we want the rate of vaccinations to increase?
What?
Or is like the current rate
yes.
fine, right? Because like if we want the rate of vaccinations to increase, then don't you still need we need to not only be increasing, just having a website isn't going to help, because we also need a plan to increase the number of people making the appointments, the number of people administering the shots, and traffic control on the sites, and so on and so on. Maybe I just want Sean to tell me everything's going to be okay.
No, you're absolutely right. Dan, honestly, it's just an issue of time. We're getting the shots. We're getting more each day. We get more shots in people's arms than we did the day before. So things are getting better. It's just a matter of time. The big issue necessarily hasn't been the resources. It's been the vaccines. We just weren't getting enough shots into the buildings, into people's arms. We have the people, we have the buildings, we have the equipment. It was just getting vaccines. They're now being produced at a far higher rate. You throw in the Johnson and my father just got the Johnson and Johnson. You add that into the mix, that's increasing availability. It's just as each piece gets 50, 60, 70, 80% better, all of them are getting better at the same time, which is expanding that access. So, it's only going to get smoother from here. I remain very optimistic.
All right.
It's just a matter of when. There will be enough shots for everyone. They will get in everyone's arms. I do honestly feel that way. It's just about how long it takes. And you don't have anywhere to be or any plans, so you got plenty of time to wait.
Well, kind of.
Do you think
I would feel a lot better for everyone involved in wedding season this summer if the timeline were accelerated?
I hear. Well, hey Dan, you'll be happy to. I know you don't live there anymore, but I did read Connecticut today is saying they're going to start general vaccinations in April, and they're feeling pretty confident about that.
Yeah, interesting. I could live there. I don't live anywhere right now.
Well, that might be a problem if you need to get a. Although I will say, there's literally no. Again, I can only speak for Massachusetts, but you only have to go on and say, "Hi, I'm Dan. I'd like a vaccine," and then when you get there, you just have to show an ID saying you're Dan, and they give you a vaccine. There really wasn't much in the way of verifying you live there, right, or you're sick or your age or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I technically still live in New York City. I'm just not there right now.
Well, actually, that might be probably your better. I mean, they're giving shots 24 hours a day there. So if there was a place to get one when they open it up, you could do worse than that. Yeah,
I don't know. They haven't done a very good job at every stage so far. So I'm not confident that this is the New York problem. Whether you're going to try to see a Nets game or some famous artist in Madison Square Garden. A Knicks game, maybe not so much, but it's going to be impossible to do anything, right? If the collective whole of capitalism hasn't found an efficient way to get people in New York pizza and Billy Joel tickets, how on earth are they going to get people vaccines? I don't know. But your confidence inspires me.
I read way too much on it, and I feel good. I did read an interesting question though today, which was the Biden administration is looking at essentially how do you prove you have a vaccine? Now, right now, you get the little printout card that they sort of write on and say you got it, but they're looking at ways to create some sort of vaccine passport for trips and for events and for things like that. And they haven't come up with a solution yet, but it is an interesting question.
Well, we know how to prove that people have vaccines in a medical setting.
Right. And that was one of the Biden administration's pushes, was they said it needs to be open source, digital and print. It's got to be secure, non-centralized. They had a whole list of things, which was really interesting. I wish I had the article. But they really are thinking ahead, and we don't want Apple to build out some proprietary solution that works in your Apple wallet. We want it to be something that really does work for everyone.
Interesting.
So does that mean like people are there? I've heard people talk about this like in the news and stuff, but like what would that be for? For like traveling to other countries?
As far as I understand it, yes, it would be things like that. It would be if venues do want to require it, they certainly can. I think the big thing that they're concerned about is, should down the road we need a booster shot or another vaccine at some point, being able to trace when you had your shot and which shot you had is going to be more important then even than it is now. And a lot of people are going to lose their stupid little cards, and the records aren't really well kept right now. So creating a system to have that recorded is going to be a pretty valuable resource down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, or at least we'll be much better prepared that time around. But yeah, that's what you got to think about.
Weird. Booster shots.
Oh, well, what else is going on? That's not, let me tell you, I had a thrilling adventure the other day. You guys want to hear this?
Yeah.
This is going to blow your mind. This is great.
Yes.
Most exciting thing that's happened to me. Okay. I, a while back, bought Clint's salsa. Okay. It's a salsa brand. I bought it at the store. It's from Texas. I had it when I lived there. Now they have it up here. It's great. It's fantastic salsa. I can't recommend it enough. I buy the medium. It's good. A little bit of heat. I'm not a spicy guy, but it's got great flavor and it's very fresh. Okay. So I enjoyed it so much, I finished the jar and I went and got another jar of Clint's medium salsa. I ate that salsa. It was significantly hotter than the last jar of medium salsa I got, and my mouth was on fire. Can you believe it? This is the excitement that my life has.
So did you write into the Clint Salsa Corporation?
I haven't decided. I haven't. This happened literally the other day, and I was eating it, and I'm like, this is good. And I'm like, this is really hot. I'm like, oh my God, this is like really hot. I had to stop eating it. It was unbearable, but it said medium on the jar. I was really furious.
Now, what do you think happened? Just like a stray pepper fell in your vat of salsa or something?
It's so funny because the one thing I noticed right away was there were a lot of jalapeno seeds in it. More than, because they're white, they really stand out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never seen that before. So I think you're right. I do think this batch got a little too much jalapeno, raw, full jalapeno in there. And oh boy, was it spicy.
That must be difficult to do because, like, I don't know if you've ever bought like jalapenos at this store, but like sometimes like they vary wildly in how spicy they are. Like sometimes you get a jalapeno that tastes like a bell pepper, like no spice at all. You could just chomp on it and feel no effects. But sometimes you get like an actually like legit spicy pepper. It's very weird.
Well, that's what's crazy is like, I guess that proves it is made fresh in small batches by a small like if I bought why can't I think of the name, the New York salsa, what was it, what the old Pace Picante, was that Pace. What were those old, you remember those old commercials?
Pace, the helpful place.
No, that's definitely not it. That's no. Close, but no. But anyway, if I had had one of those, those are consistent because they're just blended to crap and made in bulk. So I don't know. Maybe that's a plus. Certainly surprising.
I don't know.
Here's a question for you, Sean.
Why would anyone listen to this show? I cannot answer that.
Because of the great content about salsa
and vaccination shots. Go ahead, Dan. What's your question?
So, I I've said, I'm in the background. My light background reading these days is car insurance and car purchasing. Just so I want to understand all the things because I don't know anything about cars really. I know a lot more than I did 6 months ago, but and one thing I stumbled across is that there's this like proprietary, like specific wireless technology for garage door openers. I forget what it's called. HomeLink, is that what it's called? But then I think I remember you saying you got a smart garage door opener. Is it HomeLink? Is it like Wi-Fi enabled? How is your garage door smart?
Well, unfortunately, I actually donated it to my brother. I don't have a garage anymore. But when I did have it, yeah, the thing is garage door openers are one of those like snaky monopolies where there's like one company that secretly makes 80% of the garage door openers under different brand names. Well, it's Chamberlain is like the parent company, but they own LiftMaster and Craftsman or whatever. They own a couple of them that they've bought over the years, and they own like the market. And so it is their technology that if it's not the Genie, I think, is also theirs. If it's not compatible with Chamberlain, like don't even show up. And so it's there. And so I actually bought Chamberlain's wireless adapter, and it speaked over whatever protocol to my Chamberlain manufactured garage door opener and converted that into Wi-Fi. So it essentially over the Wi-Fi, it would send a little ping, then over this proprietary wireless connection between the smart thing and the garage door opener, it would ping and it would lift up. Like that's why you don't see a lot of smart garage door openers, is because the wireless connectivity is kind of a pain. It's not like I always assumed it was like an RF remote control for a TV where you just get a new one and program it to be for whatever TV, and it doesn't work that way.
That's so interesting. I did not know that. Now, could you use a smart garage door opener to open your garage door automatically when you arrive?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but you do it with I don't remember if I did it with the app for the system or an IFT trigger. But yes, absolutely. It was IFT integrated. So you could program it to do, also, when it gets cold out, open the garage door.
What would be your IFT trigger?
I never did any of that kind of crazy stuff with it, but if your stocks went up in price, your garage door could open. I mean, I don't know why you would do any of those, but you could.
In my mind, if it was just like relying on your phone's location services, I don't know. It feels like it would be too slow, but maybe I'm wrong. I've never really used IFT for something like that.
I used to use IFT with my Hue lights, and I would say, hey, when I'm on my way home from work or I enter the turn on, and I found the GPS was just not accurate enough, and I think it was the IFT app wasn't pulling it enough. So and the other thing is, and I think this was just where my house was, but sometimes I would like drive by my house but not go to it.
Sure.
Or like the radius was too big that I would my lights would turn on randomly, and the location based stuff. Now it's the same with my smart lock, where I can set it up when I enter a certain radius, it'll unlock the door, and it takes so long to trigger that I already walk up to the front door and manually unlock it before it automatically figures it out.
Right.
So it's just not good enough. I will say the one thing I always wanted to program the smart garage door for that I never was able to was to remotely start my car in the morning and open the garage door when it was cold out. And I unfortunately never got that to work. That to me is like the ultimate application, is if you can do that, then like you're good to go.
World's your oyster. Now it seems to me like if one were designing a garage door opener from scratch, which it strikes me that these companies probably are not, you would use Bluetooth for this, because the Bluetooth would be a lot more a lot faster at like the low energy stuff, and be like, oh yeah, there's a car in the garage, in the driveway.
Yeah,
do you know if any do that?
That's a good.
Seems like
I do know that. the new manufactured ones do have Wi-Fi in them. So this is built in. I had an older one. You don't need the adapter on the newer ones. Why they don't use Bluetooth, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what the range is to like a garage door opener on the ceiling of your garage versus your car in your driveway, and what the distance is. But that would be a good idea for sure.
Okay.
I mean that, yeah. Now, Dan, you and I were talking about cribbage before the show, and you said we should talk about it on the show.
No, that's not what I meant. I was going to bring up the vaccine thing, but we can talk about cribbage.
No, let's not. Let's talk about tech news instead. That's much more exciting than cribbage. We've got some stories here in the rundown. I'd like you guys to take a look and tell me what you want to talk about. It was a slow news week, so maybe we'll breeze through the segment pretty quick, but work on those slim pickings and let me know what you'd like to talk about first.
I want to talk about the HomePod.
Another one of our famous "Don't Panic, Rest in Pieces."
Yeah.
Goodbye, HomePod. Apple has announced they are discontinuing what I'm now going to call HomePod Classic. Their statement said, and I quote, HomePod Mini has been a hit since its debut last fall, offering customers amazing sound and intelligent assistant and smart home control, all for just $99. We are focusing our efforts on HomePod Mini. We are discontinuing the original HomePod. It will continue to be available while supplies last through the Apple Online Store, Apple Retail Store, and Apple authorized resellers. Apple will provide HomePod customers with software updates and service and support through AppleCare. Now, the Space Gray is already sold out. I haven't looked recently to see if they're available anywhere. They might all be sold out. It was selling for $299. Yeah, there you go. Rest in peace. It's right up there with the Apple Hi-Fi and the clouds in the sky. It's
too bad. When I got a house, that was one of the things. Like someday I'll have a house, right? And when I had a place with more than 2 rooms, I was like, oh, I'll totally get a HomePod then. But until then, like one of my rooms is going to have my TV in it, which is going to have a nice sound system, so there's no point. And that TV has an Apple TV hooked up to it, so there's like I literally get nothing. Except I guess I don't have a lady in the tube ball to talk to. But otherwise, yeah. So I was bummed. I missed the HomePod train. I heard it sounded really good.
Yeah. The lady in the tube can turn off your Apple TV. That's my favorite application.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. You can turn on the TV too.
And I
can't
think
do
if
anything
you
to the TV once it's on, but I can turn it on and off.
If you enable the CEC thing, Colby, your lady in the tube can also turn on and off your PS4. Because you can say, "Hey, Dingus, switch to HDMI port 3," and when it does that, if the CEC thing is enabled, it will tell the thing on the other end to turn on.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't tried it for that, but I bet it would work.
I think mine even picked up the names of the inputs from the TV. So I can say switch to PlayStation, and it understands what I mean. Yeah, you're right. That stuff is pretty cool. I don't hear people talk about HomeKit ability to control TVs that often.
Yeah, you can hook, or at least I was able to hook my Vizio up through Amazon and through their smart lady. And then I ran into an issue where, and I run into this with the talking smart home stuff all the time, is everything has a name. But because I have so much smart home stuff, there's like multiple of the same thing. So everything has a unique name. So you have to you can't just walk to my house and tell it to turn things on and off. You have to know the exact right vernacular to turn the right things on and off. And literally, I forgot what I called the TV when I set it up. So I'd be like, oh, turn on the TV. Oh, I don't know what TV is. And I go, turn on living room TV. I don't know what living room TV. Like I couldn't remember what I called it. And so I just gave up and never used it.
So when I first got the HomePod, my Apple TV was called Colby's Apple TV, and so every time I said like, "Hey Siri, turn off the TV," she would say, "Okay, the Colby's Apple TV is off." So stupid.
That's awesome. Although I'm kind of bummed you didn't refer to yourself in the third person. Be like, turn off Colby's Apple TV and be like, yes, that's right. It's mine.
I like the Colby.
The Colby's.
The Colby's Apple TV. I just changed the name to TV.
Very smart. Keep it simple. Dan, you can still get a white HomePod. They are still for sale.
Yeah, but like I said, I have no idea when I'll get a house, so it seems a bit foolish to buy a $300 speaker for a house
It's
I don't
not going to
have.
fit in your suitcase.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it would fit in a suitcase, but I don't know. I am thinking about it, but then again, it doesn't seem like a good expenditure.
Well, and most Americans agreed with you. So
yeah. The other thing I like about this press release is that like Apple was definitely going to do this way beforehand because there's only been one quarter like earnings announced since the HomePod Mini was released. So this was in the works.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of stories come through about how few of these they've actually shipped. And I'm sure at some point we'll get an exact accounting, but it's been it's been pretty
kind
bad.
Of expensive.
Well, and the iPhone. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just the iPhone Mini is another one of those you hear a lot of rumbles about recently, selling poorly.
Yeah, I was just reading the rumors. They've cut 70%. They've cut production of that. They way overshot on the mini iPhone. I just think it's in sort of post-morteming its failure. I think the person who buys a dope sounding $299 home speaker system gets a Sonos or something. Like, I just don't think they ever got, if you're spending this much, you want a whole home system. If you want a smart assistant, you'll spend $50 and get an Amazon product. If you want a whole home, or $99 for a HomePod Mini, if you want a whole house audio setup, you're not going to just buy one HomePod. You're going to buy something more premium like a Sonos. Am I wrong? I mean, I don't think they found that sweet spot. I think they overshot on the price, but didn't deliver what someone spending $299 really wants.
Yeah, it's not that it didn't sound good. It's just that you couldn't use it for all the things you wanted to. Like, I think it sounds, from what I've read, it sounds just as good as any speaker you could buy, but you can only hook it up to an Apple TV and your iPod and iPhone.
Right. And no Spotify.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the other thing. Well, they barely marketed the thing.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, how many non-tech people knew this existed? I mean, it sounds stupid, but like legitimately, how many average people knew this was a product you could go buy? I feel like with the Mini, they really ran a lot of commercials and a lot of advertising for it. So, not surprising.
Yeah.
Not surprising. Add it to the graveyard.
The graveyard.
All right. What else is there to talk about? It doesn't even have to be things listed on the spreadsheet. We can talk about anything you like.
Background checks on Tinder.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Fascinating stuff. Tinder, a subsidiary of the Match Group, announced an investment in Garbo, not only a badly named company, but also a nonprofit that looks to allow people to run background checks with only a first name and a phone number, or a full name. The plan is to let Tinder users vet their dates with details like their arrest record or history of violence. Garbo says it collects, quote, public records and reports of violence or abuse, including arrests, convictions, restraining orders, harassment, and other violent crimes. And that it gets this from police reports, orders of protection, restraining orders, and other legal documents that report abuse, harassment, or other crimes. Now, they specifically say they don't publicize drug possession charges. They also... there's that. They haven't figured out how they're going to roll it out to users yet. They say it won't be free, but whether it'll be part of a subscription or part of an a la carte feature, they don't know. They're going to be testing it in the coming months. So there you go.
What is Match Group?
So, a great question, Colby. So, again, one of those sneaky monopolies you didn't know existed. Match Group is a umbrella company that owns most of the dating services you've heard of, including Match.com, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, Tinder, Our Time, Hinge, Ablo, Meetic, Twoo, Ship, Pairs, Love Scout 24, Black People Meet, Hawaii, Dyson's Domain, Chispa. I'm assuming some of these are international, and others.
What about Christian Single Mingle?
Christian Single Mingle?
Is that
That's
what
a
it's
better
called?
name. No, you think of Christian Mingle, but Christian Single Mingle is good. That sounds more fun. Yes, let me see. Who owns Christian Mingle?
Wasn't there a one of the like a denominational dating app that was started by Maris people?
J-Date, yes.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Well, and so Christian Mingle is owned by Spark Networks, which owns the following dating brands, including Christian Mingle, J-Date, must have bought that at some point, Elite Singles for educated professionals, Silver Singles for the over 50, J-Swipe, a Jewish online dating app, Zoosk, what else? I think that's most of them.
What is Zoosk? For animals?
Let's see.
For the Tiger
Find your
Kings
dog
of the
their
world.
next best friend?
It says here it's a dating product for stupid people? That can't be right. No, I'm just kidding. No, it doesn't say that. No, it's basically just it's just a regular an anyone dating site.
All dating site. Got it. Interesting.
Which one? Who owns Bumble? Bumble has like so many ads here.
I'm gonna you guys are gonna screw with my Google recommendations now that I'm searching all these dating apps. So thank you for that. That's really nice of you. Bumble is its own company. It's publicly traded. You can invest. Stock ticker BMBL. But it was it was founded by the person who co-founded Tinder. I think I knew that.
If you want to go on a date with Sean, email don'tpanicshow@gmail.com.
Honestly, I would be very concerned about the person who A, listens to the show at all, and then B, was like, you know what? After listening to all of these episodes, I want to go out with the Sean guy. I would be very concerned. You have a lot of issues at that point. Oh my God,
they would be vetted at that point, right? Like
I was gonna say, you know everything about me. I don't hide much. Do you know how many dating sites there are?
How many?
Hundreds?
That's a lot, but I'm just looking at a list, and these are wild. Beautifulpeople.com, where only beautiful people can date.
How do they enforce this?
Is there like an app review process?
It's the description is a dating website where membership is based on a vote in which existing members rate how attractive they perceive prospective members to be.
Oh boy.
So you get voted on how good looking
they just went all the way down the Facebook.com route there.
Oh my God, there's a DNA romance.
Ooh.
They actually test your DNA and find you a match via your DNA. Don't know how that works.
Up for debate idea.
Okay. Sean signs up for a bunch of dating apps.
Create a new kind of dating website.
Right. A novel.
I mean, I gotta be honest. There are an awful. I would describe it as a bit of a saturated market at this point. Here we go.
You can say a lot of things about Matt, but he is a font of new ideas. For sure.
It would be. I mean, he's the man who invented a restaurant where your food is served by a robot that every once in a while goes berserk and kills people. So, he's a smart guy. He's a pretty bright guy. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of really interesting stuff out there.
Wow.
But anyway, yes, Tinder will soon be doing background checks on you. Guys, is that a great idea or an upsetting idea?
Can it be both?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate reality is for like women especially, I imagine, this is both upsetting and necessary, or at least makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah. I think the like less of, I don't know. I don't know if I have any. I can see why you might want to do it if you're using Tinder, but I feel like this thing, Garbo, whatever the corporate entity behind this is, it feels like it's fast forward 10 years. Like this is another thing, like, you know, like the identity monitoring software from the credit reporting agencies, where like, you know, we'll have to pay them to tell us when we get like, you know, when something weird happens and like your name is mixed up with someone else, and it's like telling everyone behind your back that you're a, like, you know, a zoo robber or something, you know. Yeah.
How cool would it be to be a zoo robber?
Seems like a bad idea.
Animal thief.
Animal liberator. I don't know why
that's the first thing that came to mind. I guess
I love that.
Yep.
My question is, why don't they?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't they do? Because a lot of like Airbnb and in Tinder, like I remember, this was a long time ago, but you could like attach your Instagram account, and at least the sense I got, I don't know if this was ever factored into their like rankings or whatever, but the sense I got was that if you looked at someone's profile and they had an Instagram account attached, it like lended more credence to it. So I wonder why they don't make it. And Airbnb, I think, does like an identity verification thing where you can opt to, or maybe they have to on Airbnb. I don't think you do. I think you can opt to like upload your driver's license and get your identity verified. Why didn't they just make it an optional thing where like, hey, if tons of people start like submitting their background checks, then they would see that on their profiles, and the marketplace would sort of make that a desirable trait without having to like do it to someone. Because that's the thing that feels weird about it to me is, what happens if someone's on this and someone runs a background check on them without their knowledge? Like, that seems weird.
Yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with you, Dan. I think it is a cool opt-in idea where like Dan volunteered to do a background check and he came up clean. You should date him. Like I think that's a cool idea. Except for being a zoo thief. But the issue I have, I've had a little bit of, my company runs background checks on new employees, and I've worked with our HR department and seen some of these background checks. They're not very good in terms of quality. And this is like a professional background check company who does this for a living. They're just not. What scares me the most is not the concept of background checks. It's where does Garbo get their data? And like who verifies it and who checks that it's good? Again, all you search for is someone named Dan with the phone number Dan has. Like, is that really a good way to find somebody? You know what I mean? If they could prove to me like, oh no, it's 100% accurate, it only shows the things that you really need to know before you date somebody, I'd be much more on board. I'm terrified of what nonsense they're going to run, and it's going to, oh, Dan's spent 20 years in jail. It's like, no, that's a different Dan Miller. He lives in Oklahoma. It's
there
like,
are a lot
you'd
of
be
them.
shocked how often that happens.
So how do background checks work? I've never really thought about it. Does anyone know?
I'm not a full expert in it, but it's literally the same concept where you have a company. A lot of databases you can pay for access to, like the DMV database. Like you can just pay them a bunch of money and they'll let you search driving records as a company. You'd be surprised at how easily your data is sold. So what it is the background check company just pays for access to the credit unions and to get access to their data. And, they compile all this stuff over time. Criminal records are a little harder because they're not as centralized. But basically...
But they are all public.
Right. They're just not all like in a single database, which makes it difficult. But these guys have gotten good at it over the years and they've made a business out of it. So in theory, it's not difficult. It's just you have to get everything set up and going. And now they do social media background checks, which are always hilarious because I knew somebody who got like flagged 150 times. It's just because they used the word fuck 150 times, even though it wasn't inappropriate. And they're like, oh, you've been flagged. I'm like,
amazing.
Okay.
Wait a second. Have you seen it? What is in a social media background check? Have you ever seen one?
I've been told secondhand of one. I haven't actually seen the physical report, but basically they scan your social media accounts for keywords and phrases. They don't have someone read all of it. They essentially get access to the Twitter fire hose or whatever, and they scan it and they look for things like profanity, slurs, races, all that kind of stuff you wouldn't want to hire someone for. But that's how it works. And then they give all those results to the person who paid them. In my case, my company.
Right.
Which, by the way, I'm very thankful because they instituted that after I started working there. I'm very thankful they didn't do one on me. Not that I've said anything particularly bad, but I do know I've used a lot of inappropriate language in terms of profanity. So I certainly would have gotten caught.
Right. Wash your mouth out with soap, Sean.
I stand by it. I stand by everything I said, damn it.
Challenge accepted. Dig up Sean's old tweets and see if he still stands by all of them.
There's got, if there really was because doing it on Twitter itself is kind of a pain. If there was an easy way to like bulk export my tweets in Excel, maybe there is. I would like to go and look at like my first year of tweets. They've got to be so spectacularly stupid. I was still in high school when I started on Twitter. I can't even imagine how stupid it was.
In high school. Wow. I don't think I was in
Yeah, same.
Yep, and I'm sure it was the stupid, like, going to get a sandwich. Oh, nice day outside. It was nothing inappropriate. It was just useless.
All right.
Useless.
Good times.
Yeah. Garbo. I want to run a background check on myself now. I have to join the wait list.
Yeah, I was going to say, people would pay for that. Like you said, Dan, it's like a credit score. It's like, I kind of want to know what's in there.
Yeah.
That's a good business. But they say Garbo is supposedly a nonprofit, they say. So.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Will the three of us promise to take the Garbo challenge? If it opens up, we'll all run a background check on ourselves and report the results?
Sure.
Scout's honor?
Yeah. Scout's honor.
I think I'm in.
Okay. There shouldn't be anything, but you don't know.
You never know.
You don't know. Maybe there are things I don't know about you two.
There might be things I don't know about myself.
It's true.
I was in prison?
Yeah, it could be a reincarnation.
Yes, exactly. We'll haul you off. It was a different Dan Miller, I swear. Are there any other news stories you want to talk about, or do you guys want to move on to picks?
I'm ready.
Me too.
Okay, then we're going to move on to picks, the part of the show where we just bring something we want to share with the world. And Colby's going to go first. Boy, what an eclectic mix of picks we have this week, Colby. What do you got here?
It's me. So recently I purchased this 5-quart Coleman hard shell cooler. And I purchased it for making ice in my freezer. Have any of you ever been around for clear ice at Colby's?
Yeah.
So the way you make, if you want to bulk make clear ice, you can do it using a cooler in your freezer. But the cooler I have is pretty big. So it fits in my freezer, but I have to take out everything out of my freezer. I have to take out all the shelves and half the stuff, or rearrange everything to fit the big cooler in. But I looked around some online and found this 5-quart one that'll fit in on the shelves without me having to take the shelves out at all. This is great. So if you want to make ice in your freezer, make big ice in your freezer.
That should be Coleman's slogan. Make big ice with Coleman.
Right. I think it works better in the other cooler, but this is good enough for day to day. If I was trying to make this for a party or something, I would probably still use the other one, but this does the job.
That's awesome.
Also, it's $12. So
it's a nice looking cooler. Great for a picnic or something.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do a new thing whenever we pick an Amazon product where I'm going to pick out a review I particularly like about it and I'm going to share it. And this is for the Coleman Flip Lid 5-quart cooler. This review comes to us from Jae Young Min, who says, I like this, but when I opened it, I saw a dead bug. I clean, but I feel bad. Title
I
of that
would feel
is
bad, too.
Dead Bug. So that's awesome. Check it out, the Coleman Flip Lid cooler. And it comes in red. Do you get in red or blue?
I think I got the blue one because that's the only one that was in stock when I got it. But I would have gotten the red one if it was available.
Well, they both look good, I'll tell you. You save a little bit of money. The red one is about 40 cents more expensive. So
there you go.
Cool. Dan, what about you? I am genuinely, so I've heard of this product. I've been curious of this product. I got to know the Dan experience. What are you picking this week?
So I'm picking a thing called Loom, which is an app. I think it's on all the major platforms. It's a desktop app, though, I think. And what Loom is a way, instead of like in programming a lot, we take screenshots of things and maybe we like draw circles around things. Maybe we annotate it with some text and then we send it to someone. Loom is a way to do that, but with video really easily. So you can take a video of yourself doing something, including with like your microphone and narrating what's going on. And you can make little like video edits and draw things and do some like basic video editing. And it uploads super quickly and you get a link and you can send it to someone, and it supports all the enterprise features, so you can have like links that only work for people in your company and stuff like that. It's really helpful when you're working remotely to be able, and you're working across time zones, to have like an async conversation about how something should work in such a way that like if you're posting it in a chat room that everyone else can see and kind of replay the conversation. It's pretty cool. It works really well. I'm surprised you've heard of it,
That
Sean. Are
is
you
very
thinking of using
cool.
this for fasteners?
No, you know what it is I have some of my web developers I work with on our website, they send me stuff in Loom. And so I've gotten it as like a receiving it. I've never actually used it to record anything, but it was great. It was really cool. So I'm impressed, and the price is right at free. So yeah, definitely. If I have anything to see, I'm the kind of guy, and again, I'm not remote, so now I'm in the habit of I just get up and walk to your desk and stand over your shoulder and just show you how to do it. Maybe I need Loom so I can stay at my desk. That would be great. Yeah, check it out. Loom, LOOM.com. That's awesome. All right, to round out our picks, last week I picked the M stand for the Mac as part of my work desk upgrade program. I got another pick from that. It is the SteelSeries QCK Mini Gaming Mousepads Black Small. I don't think that's the full name, but it is. It's a mouse pad. Now, I don't know. How do you guys feel about mouse pads?
I have this one. It's great.
Oh, look at you. See, someone smart. Someone read the Wirecutter. Was this Wirecutter's pick? I can't remember.
I think so. They may have picked a bigger one. I think mine's a bit bigger.
Yeah, I have a very small, cluttered desk at work, but I actually, because I have my Mac setup and my Windows setup, so I actually ordered two of them, one for each mouse, and it's awesome. It's really fantastic, and it's $7. So the SteelSeries QCK, it comes in a couple different sizes. I got the small, which I don't think I would. Well, they don't go any smaller, but it's definitely enough size to use. And then you can go bigger to the medium, the large, but it's nothing fancy. It's a mouse pad, but it's just really smooth, really nice, has a good cushion, good feel. I was incredibly impressed by what I got for $7. So that's all.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't have a mouse pad right now, I've like an uneven surface. You don't realize it when you haven't used a mouse pad for so long, but an uneven surface is like so annoying, and it tracks a little bit differently, and sometimes it skips, right? And the mouse pad just solves all those problems, and it just feels really nice when your wrist is moving. Like having the big one, to have your whole wrist laying on the table with the mouse pad, and the mouse pad is covering your whole arm. It's nice. It feels nice.
Yeah, I have an issue at the office where my office is directly connected to a warehouse and packing facility, and we share an air system with them, which means everything gets a fine layer of dust and filth on it. And as you roll your mouse across that on top of the desk all day, it collects on the mouse and gets very gross very quickly. So putting it on a mouse pad makes a big difference. Yeah, it was definitely a good upgrade. So check that out. Link will be on the website. You can pick it up there. And that is that. Guys, anything else you'd like to say or do this evening?
No.
We did it.
I'm looking forward to our background checks.
Yeah, I'm very curious. We may lose a co-host. We'll find out. Hopefully not. No, hey, another great episode in the books. I do want to quickly remind people, of course, of the Up for Debate podcast. I don't know if you guys had a chance to listen to our last episode 200. We played text adventure games. It was a ton of fun. We couldn't do last week's episode because I stupidly scheduled my ophthalmologist appointment right before the show, and I could not see anything. So, lesson learned. And it was an episode that requires me to read a lot of on-screen text. So I said, Matt, I'm so sorry, but I cannot read anything.
Tragedy strikes.
The good news is my eyes have gotten better, although my doctor said, and I quote, "You have the eyes of a 70-year-old." So, and he says he uses me as an example with his other patients because I'm a young man whose eyes are slowly being destroyed by looking at screens constantly. And he says, I tell other young people, don't be like you. I said, thanks, Doc. You're really making me feel good about this. So, anyway, so we did have a show last week where they continue the adventure. March Madness continues, episode 201, as we conclude our grand adventure. So check it out over at upfordebate.tv or wherever you get podcasts. Just search for Up for Debate. It was a really fun one. Of course, our show, don'tpanic.io, is our fantastic website. You should go there. All the episodes are there. This week's picks and this week in Pickstory is there as well. See some of the fun stuff that we've picked in the past. Now I'm curious. I'm going to go on and see what we've picked in the past here. See if we remember any. Colby, do you remember Mozart in the Jungle?
Oh yeah, vaguely.
Yeah,
that was one of the first shows I ever watched on Amazon Prime, if I recall correctly.
Yep. That was back in. That was picked back in 2016. Dan, you picked Legion. Remember Legion?
Yes, I think about it all the time. It's so good.
2017.
Everyone's talking about WandaVision right now. I'm like, where were you 5 years ago?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Legion definitely kicked that off. And I picked my rollerboard suitcase that I still use and love, my Travel Pro Platinum. That thing's amazing. So all the past picks are on the website. You can check them out there. And of course, contact us, don'tpanicshow@gmail.com, or tweet at us at don'tpanicshow. We will be back next week with hopefully some tech news. It's a quiet time of year, but as we head into March and April, we're going to start kicking off the summer. Big stuff coming up. We got all the big conferences will be in that sort of May, June timeframe. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up. You're going to want to stick around and subscribe. Come on back. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Sean. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time for another episode of Don't Panic.